All right. Hare Krishna. Welcome, everybody. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Shwapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Shavadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanitam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabhando Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Haripi Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Eva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Ukam Karoti Vachalam Pangungam Hare Yat Kripa Tamahang Vande Sri Gurun Dinatar Hare Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna. So welcome everybody to our Bhakti Sastri Upadesamrta. So today we are going to discuss text number 7 and 8. So text number 7 actually still the part of the protocol, of the protocol of this Upadesamrta, of this instruction, nectar of instruction. So we have to take this. We have to take this instruction because it is Anukul. Anukul means auspicious. And text number 8 will be discussing about the spontaneous devotional service in practice, or YD Sanada, not YD, but it is Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. So, okay, in the previous class, we have discussed the 3 types of devotees and how we should deal with those devotees. And then in text number 6, so Rupa Goswami explained that we have to be very careful while associating with the devotees, especially when we interact or associating ourselves with a spiritual master. So one should not see the devotees from external vision. Sometimes the devotee is born in the family of not belong to the Goswami family, such as Nityananda Vamsa or Advaita Acharya's lineage. So, and also sometimes we see the defects, bodily defects of a pure devotee. So therefore, as Srila Prabhupada explained, unless we ourselves become devotees, so we cannot understand devotees very clearly. So on that base, we will start with text number 7, which is actually explaining about how we should get the taste, in the chanting and hearing the names of Krishna in particular. So because in the devotees association, the main activities is actually Shravanam and Kirtanam. So without Shravanam and Kirtanam, there is no meaning actually of association with the devotees. Yeah. So this is the part of the Guhyam and Guhyam Akhyati Prichati. So inquiring and also preaching, giving enlightenment. Yeah. Okay. So text number 7, Upadesamrta, chanting the holy name. In order to come to the platform of Uttama Bhakti, we must first cleanse our consciousness of the materialistic contamination that covers the mirror of the heart. So this is the very first verse of the Siksastakam. Yeah, the first line of the Siksastakam. Yeah, the Chetadharpana Margana. By carefully chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day, we gradually become cured of the jaundice of ignorance and revive the knowledge of our blissful constitutional position as Krishna's servant. So honestly speaking, this text number 7 of the Upadesamrta is actually one of my favorite verses. One of my favorite verses. Yeah, it's a very beautiful verse. So since my voice is not so good here, I have very hoarse throat. Yeah, I'm asking some volunteer here. Anybody would like to chant this verse? Just unmute yourself and chant the verse.
Hare Krishna.
Kumudaksha Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Shat Krishna nama charita disitapya vidya ito pataptara sanasha narachikanu kintva anudinam kalusaiva justa swadvikramad bhavati tadgama mulahantri.
And the translation.
The holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet, like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root.
Thank you very much. So yeah, this is an analogy. So Shat Krishna Nama Charita Adi Sita. So Sita means sweet. Sita means sugar candy actually. And Krishna's name, Krishna Nam, Charita. Charita means pastimes, story. So, and whatever related to Krishna, because everything related to Krishna is transcendentally situated. And that should be as sweet as Krishna, Sita. But due to avidya, pito patapra, rashanasha, we don't get taste to chant Krishna's name, to hear Krishna's pastimes. Yeah, because of our disease, we are afflicted by the material ignorance, avidya. So just like a person afflicted by jaundice. So although the sugar candy is very sweet, but he cannot taste it. Whatever he eats actually will taste bitter. But the remedy is that by, kintva darad anudinam. Anudina means every day. Kintva darad anudinam kalusaiva justa. If he takes the sugar candy every day, day by day, so gradually his jaundice will be cured. The moment he tastes the sweetness of the sugar candy, that's the symptoms actually. He is cured from the jaundice. So similarly, the moment we get the taste to chant the holy name, to hear Krishna's pastimes, that's actually an indication that we are gradually cured from the avidya, Tadgada mula hantri. So mula means the root. So the avidya is uprooted Although in the beginning we don't have the taste to chant the holy name, to hear Krishna's pastimes, but if we, make an effort, force ourselves just to chant Krishna's name. Sometimes we hear devotees telling, chant louder than our mind, because our mind always tries to trick us, to divert our attention from the holy name. But if we just have little determination, push ourselves, continue chanting, continue hearing on a regular basis. Regular basis means every day, as far as chanting is concerned. So one should not fail to chant his prescribed rounds. It is interesting that in the Antya Lila, the pastimes of the passing away of Srila Haridas Thakur. So right before that, actually, because Haridas Thakur now becomes very old, and he got sick naturally when the body is getting old, so disease will follow. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to visit Haridas Thakur, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Haridas Thakur, so my dear Haridas, please tell me, can you ascertain what is your disease? Why you get sick? What is your disease? Please tell me. And then Haridas Thakur replied that, oh my Lord, my disease is that now I cannot chant my prescribed rounds to chant 3 lakhs name every day. This is my disease. When one is failed to follow his vow to chant his prescribed rounds, it is considered that he's in a disease condition. So that was the reply of Srila Haridas Thakur. Of course, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, well, you don't have to, even if you don't chant at all right now, you have been chanting so much. Even if you don't chant at all, still people will glorify you. But still Haridas was so lamenting, he was feeling so sad because of his situation, that he is getting old and unable to finish his prescribed rounds. So that's disease. When we cannot finish our prescribed rounds, chanting our prescribed rounds, it is understood that actually we are in a disease condition. Again, related to the holy name, actually the best book to read about holy name is the Harinam Chintamani. The Harinam Chintamani. So in the chapter, I think that's chapter 11, 12, or 13, not pretty sure, but in the chapter entitled of being attentive, being inattentive while chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Because the Harinam Chintamani actually describing elaborately, actually this is the conversation between Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Haridas Thakur. And interestingly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is taking a humbler position. So he's taking the part of Guhyam Akyati. He's the one who's inquiring. And Haridas Thakur is taking role as the preachati, one who is preaching. So there, in that chapter, Haridas Thakur explained, actually, there are 3 types of being inattentive while chanting of the holy names. And there are 3 types of being inattentive of chanting of the holy names. And one of those 3 is actually laziness. Laziness. And Haridas Thakur explained that laziness means when one is failed to chant his prescribed numbers of rounds. Interesting. So anyway, this is the analogy. So come back to this verse again, that actually, most of us, most of the devotees, we don't have we don't have taste to chant the holy name, to hear Krishna's pastimes. But if we do this every day, gradually, we'll become cured from the disease of our avidya, material fever, avidya, ignorance. Let's see Srila Prabhupada's purport. When a man in the material world takes more interest in the materialistic way of life than in Krishna consciousness, is considered to be in a disease condition. This is Srila Prabhupada's explanation about disease condition. So when we are fully in Maya, that means we are in a disease condition. When we disconnected from Krishna, that means we are in a disease condition. We are not healthy. The normal condition is to remain an eternal servant of the Lord. Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nitadas. This healthy condition is lost when the living entity forgets Krishna due to being attracted by the external features of Krishna's Maya energy. This world of Maya is called Durasaya, which means false or bad shelter. One who puts his faith in Durasraya becomes a candidate for hoping against hope. In the material world, everyone is trying to become happy, and although their material attempts are baffled in every way due to their nescience, they cannot understand their mistakes. This is also another interesting point here. That's why I highlighted here. People try to rectify one mistake by making another mistake. This is the way of the struggle for existence in the material world. Now I have a question for all of you here. Who would like to elaborate on this statement? People try to rectify one mistake by making another mistake. Hare Krishna. This is an offer to all of you here.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Kumudaksa Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Please go ahead.
It is actually one are thinking that he is making a solution to a problem, but actually what we do is actually bringing other problem.
Mhm.
So it is not really solution, but it is actually we make us more entangled.
Can you give us some example, real example that you may
example,
experience or
for
experience from
example,
others?
okay, maybe about, for example, oh yeah, there is a one story about the rishi who is performing austerity, right? That one maybe. For example, he uh, he was only have one outfit. I mean, like one outfit for the dhoti or whatever it's called. And then okay, I think it will be better for me to get one more one more outfit. Let's say, one set. Let's say one set. Then okay, finally he got it. But after some time, he's still the problem. Although he already get two sets of dhoti, then when he was keeping another one, he's not using, then the red is actually, catching it, and then how to say, beat it. How to say in English? To beat it. Let's not beat. How to say beat? Yeah, to beat it, and then problem. So then he is thinking, okay, then I have to get a
Cat.
cat so that the rat will not. Okay, then after that, after he get a cat, and then he have a, we need to feed the cat, and then after some time, in order to take care of the cat, also need something, another arrangement. So what we think certain arrangement it is solution, but actually it's making us more entangled, like that. And then this list or the can be going on and on to certain place.
Thank you.
Maybe that's all.
Thank you very much, Kumaraksha Prabhu. Yeah, that's actually one of the examples from the scriptures. Yeah, regarding that Muni. Actually, he had only uh, one coffin. So he had one coffin, and he performed very severe tapasya. So one day he took bath in Ganga, took bath in not in Ganga, in a lake. So meanwhile he was drying up his coffin. So one rat came and stolen that coffin, and he thought to get a cat. Then the cat needs milk, so he gets a cow. So in order to maintain the cow, he needs somebody else to help him to maintain the cows. So finally he gets a wife. So life becoming more entangled. So solving one problem in a materialistic way, in the material world, is actually creating another problem. So we think that we solve the problem. Actually, we create another problem. So like that. Well, there are so many examples actually around, practically speaking. For example, like, somebody who doesn't have a car, for example, like, oh, in order to move faster, why don't we get a car? And then finally get a car. So in order to maintain the car, you need to buy petrol, you need to maintain, you need to change the oil every month, probably. Then you need to earn more money. And you have to pay the tax, this and that. And finally what? Everybody's getting car, and then the road becoming traffic jam, just jam packed. And finally people will decide again, better to go by walk, it's faster. So anyway, this is the way of materialistic life. And Prabhupada also described about the word Durajraya. Actually, Prahlad Maharaj in the seventh canto, we find that verse, that word in the verse of Nate vidu swartagatim hivisnu Durasaya ye bahirarthamanina andayatan bayir andayatan dir padiyam andayatan. How's that? Nate vidu swartagatim hivisnu Durasaya ye bahirarthamanina andayatan dir paneyamana andayatan dir Tipisatantriam urudam nibadha andayatan dir paneyamana Tipisatantriam urudam nibadha. So creating more um, entanglement, bhada. So nate vidu swartagatim Vishnu. Those who don't know that actually the goal of life is Vishnu, they take shelter of the Durasaya. Durasaya means, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, bad shelter. What is bad shelter? So-called wealth, so-called our wealth. We are thinking that we are protected by our money, we are protected by our wealth, we are protected by our family. But when death is coming, so no one can protect you. Therefore, Sankaracharya says, Bhaje Govinda, Bhaje Govinda, Bhaje Govinda Mudamate. Samprapte sanihite kale, nahi nahi raksate dukhin karane. So nothing can save you. Nahi nahi raksate. Nothing can save you. Your knowledge, your grammatical knowledge, your philosophical speculation will not help you. Oh, fools, Bhaje Govinda, just worship Govinda. Nahi nahi raksati. Nobody can help you at the time of death. This wealth cannot prevent death. Even doctor, doctor also will face death. Doctor is supposed to save somebody's life, but even doctor should die. That's actually how this material world, material nature works. Nobody can escape from death. So Durajaya, bad shelter. We are thinking that if we have a lot of money, my life will be safe. But actually not really. Because when you have a lot of money, people will become envious of you. Somebody will think how to steal your money. Somebody will think that they're gonna rob you. They're gonna rob you. You'll be always in danger. So that's the nature of this material world. So better to take shelter of Krishna, Krishna's holy name. Krishna's holy name is guaranteed to free us from all anxieties. Although Krishna consciousness may not be very palatable for a diseased person. Diseased person means materialistic person. Srila Rupa Goswami nonetheless advises that if one wants to be cured of the material disease, he must take to it with great care and attention. One begins his treatment by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, because by chanting this holy name of the Lord, a person in the material condition will be relieved from all misconception. Chetodarpanamarjanam. Avidya, a misconception about one's spiritual identity, provides the foundation for ahankar or false ego within the heart. So when we think aham mameti, in terms of aham mameti, me and mine, so this is also avidya. When we think that I'm the body, this is actually the biggest avidya. So avidya, as Srila Prabhupada explained here, avidya will create a false ego. So free from avidya will give us real ego, real understanding of what is my ego. Ego means basically actually designation. Designation. Just like I'm this, I'm that. This is called designation. This is ego. Therefore, if we read the explanation of the namakarana samskar, so why this namakarana samskar is performed when the child is given a name? So in order to create the ego of the child, that now I shall be called by this name. So I'm Mr. A, I'm Mr. B. So this is ego actually, but that is false ego. But the real ego is that Nityarashya Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. So this is the real ego. So ego of two types. One is false ego, one is real ego. When one is in avidya, he is in a false ego. When one is free from the avidya, that means when he is in vidya, in knowledge, so he is situated in the real ego, knowing his position as the spirit soul and the eternal servant of Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada emphasized here, chanting of the holy names. Yeah. Etan nirvidyamananam ichatamakuto vayam yoginam nripanirnitam hare namanukirtan. So the chanting of the holy names is actually the surest way, the quickest, guaranteed 100% will free you from the material entanglement and free you from the dangerous types of fear. So what is the dangerous type of fear? Is to rebirth, reborn, take birth again in the lower species. This is the dangerous types of fear. Yeah. There are three stages in the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The offensive stage, Namapara. The stage of lessening offenses, this is Namabhasa. And the pure stage, so Sudana. So these are the three stages in the chanting of the holy name. When a neophyte takes to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, he generally commits many offenses. There are 10 basic offenses, and if the devotee avoids this, he can glimpse the next stage, which is situated between offensive chanting and pure chanting. When one attains the pure stage, he is immediately liberated. This is called Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. As soon as one is liberated from blazing fire of material existence, he can relish the taste of transcendental life. Yeah. So Nam Aparad, Nam Bhasha, and Shuddhanam. These are the three stages of chanting of the holy name. So yeah, again, I'd like to mention, sorry to mention this again and again. I highly recommend to all of you to read, to start reading for those who never read the Harinam Chintamani, or to read again for those who have been reading it. It's so beautiful, actually. All these 10 offenses against the holy names, elaborately explained by Srila Haridas Thakur. And uniquely, it's actually this Harinam Chintamani is compiled by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And in each chapter, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur just give his very short comment, very short comment on each chapter. Yeah. So 3 stages of the chanting of the holy names. So Nama Aparad, and we, committing these 10 offenses. Vaisnava Aparad, or thinking that Krishna on the same level of the demigods. This is also Nama Aparad, and disobeying the order of spiritual master, and so on. And Nama Bhasa, Abhas means actually the shadow. The shadow. So shadow means actually not the real one, not the real one. That's why in that book, Harinam Chintamani, Srila Haridas Thakur, actually he quoted a verse from the 6th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sankhetam Parihasam va Stavam Helaname Bhava Vaikuntanam Agrahanam Sisagaharam. So these are the 4 types of Nama Bhasha explained by Srila Haridas Thakur. Sankhetam means chanting indirectly, means to indicate somebody else, just like Ajamil was chanting the names of Narayan, but he's actually calling his name, his son's name, Riyamano Hare Nama, Grinan Putro Pacharita. Grinan Putro Pacharita. He was calling his name Narayan. So this is called Sankirtan, Parihasam, and then chanting just for, music, jazz. Yeah, it's just like, people just love to sing, but actually he has no love for that name, but he's chanting. Maybe make some fun out of it. And Parihasama, Stavam and Helana. So I highly recommend to look at this first, the 6th canto. So another one is to I completely forgot. So to indicate somebody else, chant just to make fun, just to make musical instruments out of the holy names. That is the meaning of the Helana. So these are Nama Bhasa. So Nama Bhasa, when one is free from offenses in the chanting, but that chanting is not considered to be pure chanting, because it is still Abhas, means just the shadow. But shadow looks similar with the real thing, with the real one. Therefore, Nama Bhasha, Haridas Thakur explained, is actually can award one's liberation. Just like Shishupal. Shishupal is actually not Shishupal. I think that's Jarasandha. Jarasandha or Shishupal. Either one of these 2 personalities mentioned by Haridas Thakur. So they are chanting Krishna's name, but actually they are making fun, making fun of Krishna. Yeah, they don't want anything from the holy names. They don't want anything from the holy names. They don't have any, they don't chant to get some material piety, some material desire to be fulfilled. They just make fun of Krishna, but they get liberation. So they are chanting Namabhasha. Interesting. And then Sudanam, of course, when one is chanting with love, pure love, calling upon Krishna with love and devotion, with tears in one's eyes, hair standing on end, So the voice is choked up. These symptoms can be seen actually in the Antya Lila, the Chaitanya's pastimes, in Nilachal, Jagannath Puri, how he spent his last 12 years in this earth. So he was exhibiting Prema Bhakti. He's always in bhava, in ecstasy. The conclusion is that in order to get freed from the material disease, one must take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. The Krishna consciousness movement is especially meant for creating an atmosphere in which people can take the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. So this is also the reflection of the mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. Is glorifying actually our movement. And actually this movement can facilitate people to chant Hare Krishna mantra. One must begin with faith. And when this faith is increased by chanting, person can become a member of the society. We are sending Sankirtan parties all over the world, and they are experiencing that even in the remote part of the world where there is no knowledge of Krishna, where, say, for example, like in China, in Japan, in Africa, in Russia, and in any European countries, American countries. So no knowledge, practically speaking, no knowledge about Krishna, where there is no knowledge of Krishna. The Hare Krishna mantra attracts thousands of men to our camp. In some areas, this is interesting. In some areas, people begin to imitate the devotees by shaving their heads and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Only a few days after hearing the mantra. This may be imitative, but imitation of a good thing is desired. Some imitators gradually become interested in being initiated by the spiritual master and offer themselves for initiation. See, Srila Prabhupada said that this may be imitative, but imitation of a good thing is desired. So just like Garga Muni Prabhu told Srila Prabhupada, actually when you come, everybody offer obeisances. So I don't feel that I want to offer obeisances. If I offer obeisances, it's just actually fake, because I don't feel that I want to bow down to you. And Prabhupada said, no, still you have to offer obeisances because I'm your guru. It's not that Srila Prabhupada demanding respect, but it is actually the culture, the norm actually. Spiritual master should offer obeisances. The disciples should offer obeisances to the spiritual master. And Prabhupada said that no, still you should offer obeisances to your spiritual master. So although it's look like fake or imitative, but the more often you offer obeisances, you will get purification, and naturally you will feel that you must offer obeisances. So, but of course, we should not imitate the extreme level of practice of a pure devotee. For example, like Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. He chant using his beads in the toilet, the place where he is doing his dirty business, I would say, where he pass stool. Yeah, he chants using his beads. Well, we should not definitely imitate that. We are taking our beads while evacuating. So this thing should not be imitated. Should not be imitated. But imitating people to get up early in the morning for Mangalarati, this is good. Save your head. This is also good. Chanting. Yeah. When a person is relieved from unwanted things, anartha, artha means something which is desired, anartha means something which is unwanted. He becomes fixed in executing his Krishna activities. Very rare Srila Prabhupada mentioned Krishna activities. Normally Srila Prabhupada mentioned devotional activities or Krishna consciousness activities. Prabhupada mentioned here, executing his Krishna activities. So what is Krishna activities? Krishna activities means whatever related to Krishna, service to Krishna. Indeed, he becomes attached to such activities and experiences ecstasy in executing devotional service. This is called bhava, the preliminary awakening of dormant love of God. So remember, Srila Prabhupada was talking about faith in the previous slide. So faith, Shraddha, Sadhusanga, Bhajana, Kriya, Anatha. So faith is the basis. When we have faith, gradually we perform devotional service and we associate with the devotees. The anartha is cleansed from the heart. We develop ruchi, taste, asakti, attachment, and then we will attain the level of bhava. So bhava is not yet pure love. It's just the preliminary awakening stage. So how that bhava can be achieved is by constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Now we may experience, sorry, why after so many years of chanting of the holy names of the Lord, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we still don't awaken our bhava. Well, it is clear that we should understand that we still committing the 10 offenses against the holy names of the Lord, whether intentionally or not. Yeah, still, just like we touch fire, intentionally or not, fire will burn us. So we commit offenses intentionally or unintentionally, and therefore these 10 offenses, as much as possible, should be avoided. But like the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, in toward the end of the Adi Lila. So when Gauranga Mahaprabhu went to Gaya to perform the Shraddha ceremony for his father, so there he met Iswarapuri for the second time and took initiation from Iswarapuri. So he got the Harinam Diksha from Iswarapuri. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just, immediately he chants the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Immediately the symptoms of bhava appeared. Kiba mantra dilo goshai, kiba tarabol, japite mantra korela pagal. So he asked Iswarapuri Goshai, Mahashai, he asked that, what kind of mantra you have given to me? Kiba dilo Goshai, what you give to me? Kiba mantra dilo. What kind of mantra you give me? Japite mantra korela pagal. As I'm chanting this mantra, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, I become crazy. Sometimes I cry. I don't know why tears just roll down to my cheeks. And then sometimes I just fell unconscious, sometimes rolling on the ground, sometimes jumping very high. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu feels that he becomes crazy on chanting his holy name. And then Iswarapuri Mahasai replied that Krishna Nam Mahamantrera Eta Swabhav. So Krishna Nam Mahamantrera Eta Swabhav. So when one chants the holy name of the Lord, is actually bhava, immediately awaken. Krishna Nam Mahamantrera Eta Swabhav. Jai Jape Tara Krishna Upajaye Bhav. Whoever chants, Jai Jape Tara Krishna, whoever chants Krishna's name, Etasva, will awaken the bhava very quick. Now we chant, but why no bhava? Because we're still committing 10 offenses. Just like we try, these offenses actually, just like we try to light up the fire, but simultaneously we are pouring water on it. So it doesn't work like that. So if we want prema, if we want bhava, so we should avoid these 10 offenses against all the names of God. Interesting here. Although Maya may be present, cannot disturb the body once he attains the bhava stage. Because a person who is in bhava is always in ecstasy, is forgetting everything. This is called the devotee. This is because the devotee can see the real position of Maya. Maya means forgetfulness of Krishna. And forgetfulness of Krishna and Krishna consciousness stand side by side like light and shadow. If one remains in shadow, he cannot enjoy the facilities offered by light. And if one remains in the light, cannot be disturbed by the darkness of shadow. So this is Srila Prabhupada's explanation that person, a devotee who is situated in bhava level, cannot be disturbed by Maya. But even then also, this is not a wrong statement. It is correct statement. Nothing wrong with this statement. But sometimes we may wonder that why Bharat Maharaj, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is explained that actually he was on the stage of bhava. Was on the stage of bhava. He gave up all his family, he gave up all his wealth. He went to the forest, performed devotional service, severe tapasya, performed yajna every single day. He was in bhava, he's completely in ecstasy. So why he gets this little distraction by the baby deer, and finally he has to suffer another 2 births again. He has to suffer another 2 births again before he attains liberation, complete liberation. So yeah, padam padam yadvi padam. There's always dangers in every step. This is the nature of the material world. So we should pursue for that highest stage, which is prema. So bhava is just like you are outside the door of prema. You are not yet entering, but it is a big assurance that you're going to get there. The door is open. Now the door is open. Yeah, you are in bhava. You just need to step in. That's it. That's why Srila Prabhupada explained here, he will not be disturbed by Maya, because he completely understands the position of Maya. Maya means forgetfulness of Krishna. So just like you are outside the door, you open the door. Okay, there is heavy rain outside. So you know that there is rain outside. So you shouldn't go there. You should go inside. Then you will be completely protected. So in that sense, Srila Prabhupada explained, you will not be disturbed by Maya anymore, because he's situated in bhava. But sometimes due to some slight, diversion, just a little bit, slight diversion, that also can make us deviate from our pursuit to pure devotion. To the level of prema. For example, like you are already in the door, there, rain over there, outside. So you decided, okay, I'm going inside to be safe, because the door is open. You're just there, just need to step in. But then You may be forgetting something there. Oh, I forgot to take this there. So I have to run there. And finally you get wet. But then, because, Nihabikramana Ashurasti, Pratyava Yonabhika, there is no loss and diminution in this practice. Still, you get wet and you come back. You come back. You just take that stuff and you come back. Come back home and enter the home. Yeah, just like Bharat Maharaj. He got this slight diversion from this baby deer. So he has to suffer another 2 births. And he learned enough from that lesson. And finally, he come back to the right path. He come back again. And he attained perfection in his life. So like this. All right. That's the end of the text number 7. So before we move to text number 8, were there any question or comments? So just to conclude on that, come back to the analogy. Shat Krishna Nama Charita Stapya Vidya. Come back to the verse. Yeah, this verse is talking about how we should get the asakti, the attachment, the ruchi, to taste, to chant the holy name of the Lord. Because most of us, we don't have taste to chant the holy name. We don't have taste to hear about Krishna's pastime. So the formula is that constantly doing it, every single day. Anudinam kamsaiva justa. So gradually we'll be purified, and finally we will attain bhava, and then so we should change with faith, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned in his purport. All right, before we move ahead, were there any questions or comments?
So I have questions, and
Yes, Vanamali Prabhu.
I have in only now in lectures I hear the false ego word. Before I only heard the mind and ego, man buddhi ahankar, only ego word they use in Hindi or Gujarati. So, but now I hear also false ego. So false ego is situated in subtle bodies. So where is the real ego is situated?
Real ego, thank you for that question. Real ego, although you are situated in the material body, when you understand your position as Krishna's servant and act according to that principle, so you are acting according to your real ego. But when you disconnect yourself from Krishna's service, and just concerning about the ahamameti principle, then it is false ego.
Okay, Prabhu. Just like we can engage our man and buddhi also in the Krishna service.
Yeah, absolutely. All actually, mana, buddhi, ahankar.
And body also.
Yeah, and the gross body definitely. Because this gross body is Krishna's property also. Yeah, Bhumira Punalovayu. All this, the Pancha Mahabhuta elements, Krishna's energy. So we should engage our gross body and subtle body in Krishna's service. So in that way, actually, we are acting according to our real ego. When we act apart from Krishna consciousness, so that means we are acting according to the false ego. I am this, I am that. Any other questions?
Yes. So I also one other question that I have heard that only Mukunda can give liberation. So, but in Ajamil, the Vishnu Duta came to save him, and also after he got the spiritual body after some time he practiced devotional service and he got spiritual body and go back to Godhead in with Vishnu Dutas. And even Prabhupada have the back key of the Golok So I have to understand it. And Prabhupada also came many times to take devotees who have left ISKCON but served before ISKCON.
Right. Swarup Siddhi Prabhu, you raise your hands. You would like to respond on that? Or you have another question?
I have another question, bro. Yeah, after that I will ask.
Yes, responding on this. Thank you, Vanamali Prabhu. Yeah, only Mukunda can award liberation. Definitely. Only Mukunda can award liberation. Mukunda means also the representative of Mukunda. Not only Mukunda, but the representative of Mukunda is also empowered because he's the empowered representative of Mukunda. So Mukunda give the delegation. Okay, now you go there and give liberation. I empower you. So sometimes Krishna directly pick up the devotee, take the devotees along with Vishnu Duta, or sometimes the spiritual master like Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada is the empowered soul, empowered by Krishna. So empowered means he has as much as power to liberate others as much as Krishna. Yat sangalabdam nijavirya vaibhavam tirtam muhu samsprisatam himanas. Haratya junta sruti birgato gajam ko vaina sevita mukunda vikram. Ko vaina sevita mukunda vikram. So because the devotees carried Mukunda in their heart, yeah. So ko vaina sevita mukunda vikram. Who will not? Ko vaina sevita. Who will not associate with the devotees of the Lord who carried Lord Mukunda within their heart? Because by associating with them, actually, they get liberation. Yat sangalabdham nijavirya vaibhavam tirtamuhu. Definitely, the holy places of pilgrimage can give us liberation also. But if one is unable to travel to the holy place, just get the advantage to associate with the devotees nearby around us. That's actually more powerful means to attain liberation, associating with the devotees. Tirtam muhu samsprisatam himanasam. So associating with the devotees will immediately give us liberation. But visiting holy places will give us liberation after muhu. Muhu means again and again visiting those holy places. So associating with the devotees is actually much more powerful than simply, sightseeing, visiting holy places. So yes, Mukunda will give us liberation, and he's the only person who award liberation. But when he empowered someone, some specific jiva, so that jiva also has the, as much as power as Lord Mukunda himself to liberate other conditioned souls, just like Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada came. Sometimes the devotees left ISKCON, as you mentioned. But Srila Prabhupada again, take them back, take back to the movement. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
गंगा परश होइले पश्चाते पावन दर्शन पवित्र करो यही तुम्हार गुण.
Very nice. Thank you so much. Okay, Swarup Siddhi Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Then,
Hare Krishna.
yeah, it's regarding that one, Sanketya Parihesha, that sloka is there, Prabhu. You are telling that that is as Nama Bhasa chanting. Just I need, reference, Prabhuji, is that explained in the purport by Srila Prabhupada? Just maybe that is useful. It's not a cross question. Maybe it will be useful for me also when we speak something like that. Yeah, I'm asking.
Yeah.
If that is the case, what I'm thinking is in ISKCON, almost if someone minimum not reaching to Shuddhanam, so everybody is under minimum Namabhasa, And as per my understanding so far reading, Namabhasa stage can give liberation also. So that's what I'm just trying to correlate with these two and reference. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. In the sixth canto, to that verse, I'll send the reference, the exact reference, later in the WhatsApp group. Srila Prabhupada didn't mention that this is the Nama Bhasha. But in the Harinam Chintamani, our Nam Acharya, Srila Haridas Thakur. So Nam Acharya means he's the authority, he is the expert on this field of the chanting of the holy name. Lord Chaitanya himself awarded this title to Haridas Thakur. So he explained in the Harinam Chintamani that this is the 4 types of Nama Bhasha. So regarding members of the ISKCON society, yes, because we are calling all the devotees, because all the devotees they have Krishna's name. Yeah. So when we call them Krishna Prabhu or Baladev Prabhu, whoever, so we are indicating that person actually, not we are calling Krishna, but still that chanting is considered as Nama Bhasha. So we get liberation. But at the same time, we have to be honest also that many times we committed 10 offenses against the holy names. So we are constantly moving up and down between the Nama Parad and Nama Bhasha. But still, there's no loss. And finally, we will attain our highest destination of chanting in pure, pure chanting, Sudanam. Just continue chanting. Don't leave the movement. All right.
So,
okay, last question.
Indradum Maharaj also went to Amazon forest and chanted the holy name. And Indradumna Swami Maharaj went to Amazon forest and chanted the holy name of the Lord. And even tribes, they have no connection to outside world. They also danced with Maharaj.
Yeah, interesting. I heard that also. We went to the forest, Amazon forest, and chanted. Yeah. All right. Now this is text number 8. Spontaneous devotional service in practice. So this is called Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami gives the essence of all advice: to fix one's mind on Krishna without deviation by constantly hearing and chanting about him and remembering his pastimes. Now, interesting that actually the first 7 verses of the Upadesamrta, these verses are dealing with the Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. Practice. This should be our practice. We should reject this. We should accept this. We should do this. We should do that. Yeah. And then in the 8th verse, this is dealing with the Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. So after we practice, and we come to the level of this practice no longer burden. This is called Raganuga. There is, I find it personally, there is a big confusion in understanding between the Raganuga and Raga Atmika. Yeah, act of devotion. Sometimes devotees are confused. What is Raganuga? What is Raga Atmika? So Raganuga, just briefly touching on this point, Raganuga is a stage where we have perfected our Vaidhi sadhana. So the perfection of the Vaidhi sadhana is the Raganuga sadhana. So Raganuga is still on the level of sadhana. So when we practice, first we put effort, but then when we perfected our practice, so that effort is no longer needed so much. It becomes natural for us. So raga means actually attachment, anuga means to follow. So now we start following the residents of Vrindavan. That's what Srila Prabhupada explained. We are following the example of the residents of Vrindavan. So the Ragatmikas belong to them. This is their privilege, the residents of Vrindavan. Ragatmika. The attachment is their Atma. They're born naturally like that, just to serve Krishna like that, without any education, without any training, without any effort. It's natural for them since very birth to serve Krishna, to love Krishna, and do everything for Krishna. So this is Ragatmika. But Raganuga, we practice first. Why we following rules and regulation, and then we try to follow in their footsteps. Following in the footsteps means we are no longer burdened by this practice, because Ragatmika is only the privilege, the rightful claim for the Brajavasis. So this is the differences between Raganuga and Ragatmika. So this is the verse. Anybody would like to chant this verse? Hare Krishna. Please.
Nobody?
Yes. I think this is your special right. Please chant, Prabhu.
Tannamarupa charitadi sukirtananu Mrityo kramena rasana manasi niyojya Tishtan vrajita tanuradi jananu gami Kalam nayeda kilamityupadesha saram. Translation. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, or Goloka Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees, who are deeply attached to his devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. So Rupa Goswami explained that actually this is the essence of all instruction. That is the essence of all advice. Of all advice. So he has given us advice from text 1 to 7. So the first two verses of this book is, you have to give up all this. And then text 3 to 7, you have to follow. You have to take this. So all of these advices. And finally, now he conclude that what is the essence of all advice? The essence of all advice is to constantly utilize our time, 24 hours a day, to think about Krishna, as he mentioned here. And finally, we have to follow the residents of Vrindavan. Yeah. This is called the Raga Nuga. You see the last part here. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees. So actually he's indicating of the residents of Vrindavan, of Braj, who are deeply attached to his devotional service. So what is the essence again of all advice? is to utilize one full time, 24 hours a day, nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental qualities, and eternal pastimes. Srila Prabhupada's book. At the time of death, the mind and intelligence of all living entity create the subtle form of a certain type of body for the next life. Yeah. Yam yam wapi smaran bhavam. If the mind suddenly think of something not very congenial, one has to take a corresponding birth in the next life. On the other hand, if one think of Krishna in the time of death, he can be transferred to the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan. This process of transmigration is very subtle. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami advises devotees to train their minds in order that they will be unable to remember anything other than Krishna. Yeah, smartavya satatam. Vismartavya na jatuchit. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Somehow or other, we should train our mind. Savai mana Krishna padala. Always thinking about Krishna. Somehow or other. This is the demand of our Raj Acharya, Rupa Manjari, Sri Rupa Goswami, is demanding that somehow or other we should think about Krishna. We should train ourselves by which we cannot forget about Krishna. Similarly, the tongue should be trained to speak only of Krishna and to taste only Krishna Prasad. Srila Rupa Goswami further advises, Tisthan Braje, one should live in Vrindavan or any part of Rajabhu. So this verse is actually giving us the conclusion of the previous 7 verses and then preliminary entrance to the next 3 verses, 9, 10, and 11. Yeah, Goswami is hinting about living in Vrindavan. Brajbhumi, or the land of Vrindavan, is supposed to be 84 krosas in area. 1 krosa equals to square miles. When one makes Vrindavan his residence, he should take shelter of an advanced devotee there. In this way, one should always think of Krishna and his pastimes. So Vrindavan is absolutely a very special place. Our next class will discuss about the hierarchy of the holy places. Very beautiful. Anyway, Vrindavan is a very special place. And whatever you do there, actually not only in Vrindavan, but of course, Rupa Goswami specifically mentioned about Vrindavan here, but in any holy place, whatever you do in holy place, whether it's Vrindavan, Jagannath Puri, Haridwar, yes, Mayapur, whatever you do, it will multiply 1,000 times. So if you do good, it will multiply 1,000 times. And if you commit offenses, that also will multiply 1,000 times. So you should be very careful while living in the Dham, especially in Vrindavan. Therefore, as it is mentioned here by Srila Prabhupada, that while living in Vrindavan, we have to take constant guidance from an expert, advanced devotee. Otherwise, we just speculate, by seeing some Babas here and there. We may also would like to become Baba. We may also think that, oh, I want to be like this. But as Srila Prabhupada quite often mentioned that, oh, we should be real. There are so many so-called Babajis in Vrindavan. They live in a cave alone, but actually at night they have some affairs with 4 or 5 women. This is called Markat Vairagya, the renunciation of a monkey. Monkey doesn't have house, doesn't have cloth. He's just moving from one branch to another branch of a tree, or sometimes from one branch of a tree, move to another branch of another tree. So it has no fixed residence, no money, no clothes. Yet a monkey always looking for the companion of the uh, opposite sex. The male monkey will always chase the female monkey. So should be very careful while living in Vrindavan. Otherwise, we just, if not very careful, we may deviate from the real path. So regarding prasadam, I have found this today. I found this very interesting from Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Pastimes. So this is a rival conversation in Tokyo, April 20th, 1972. So immediately, Srila Prabhupada asked, so what prasadam you have prepared? Huh? Chintamani said, Kartikeya Prabhu? Prabhupada asked, Kartikeya Prabhu, where is Kartikeya? So everybody is laughing. So all right then. So the body. Srila Prabhupada, there is some rice, there is some rasgullas, and some fruit. So rasgulla is Bengali's favorite. And some fruit. We have some fruit and some vegetables. Srila Prabhupada, I wanted some samosha. Huh? Samosa. Huh? Samosha. Prabhupada said, Sudama Prabhu, can you prepare it? He said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, so do it. And Samasundar, you have got a nice little house down here. Just perfect. Your own house, little kitchen here, little kitchen here is too. Prabhupada said, oh, Samasundar, isn't there a kitchen down there? Prabhupada said, there's no kitchen. Samasundar Prabhu said, a little one. Prabhupada, all right, we can prepare khichdi. So, Karandara Prabhu, how do you like this place? And Karandara Prabhu said, it's nice, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, yes, it is for, I mean to say, spiritual advancement. It's a nice place. And one devotee said, this lugdu, I don't know what is lugdu, maybe some kind of sweets. Prabhupada said, yes, I will also take a little, distribute. What is your program? Well, we thought we could do both because we have a recording studio. So you can come into the recording studio and record as much as you wanted all day long. Shooting for TV show, we work out a program of shooting each week, 40 minutes. Prabhupada. So he was handling some prasadam. Oh, you take more. Why little? Give more. Give me also little more. Tilkamar said, Jai. So Prabhupada, it is very nice. So one devotee said, Prabhupada disputes mercy to the world. Prabhupada said, who has made this? Dhruvananda. Oh, he's a good cook? Yes. He has made nice. Shall I save one for later for you? Prabhupada said, no saving. All the devotees went, give me immediately. Give them. Prabhupada. So one devotee was asking, Your Divine Grace, I have a question. I was always under impression or understanding from your teaching that one never eats in the front of the deities. Can you please explain that? Because I understand you are pure devotee. So Shyamashundar Prabhu explaining, he says that he always understood that one should not eat in the front of the deities. What is the difference? And Prabhupada said, difference is generally we should not eat before the deity, but there is another injunction. Prasada praptir matrena bhoktavya. As soon as we get prasad, we should immediately eat. So everybody was like, Srila Prabhupada was chewing the prasadam. take this, so we shall go there. So this is one of Srila Prabhupada's parcel of prasad. Prabhupada said, no saving. Give all, give me immediately. And regarding eating in the front of the ladies, yeah, sometimes, generally actually should not eat in the front of the ladies. This is one of the offenses against deity worship. Yeah. But in some situation, because prasadam should never be rejected, so immediately it should be honored, even in the front of the deity. One time, Indra Prabhu, this is also one time Indra Prabhu. So he was taking prasadam in the front of his salagram sitas, in front of his deities. And so he didn't close curtain. And one devotee asked, Indra Prabhu, I think there is an injunction that we should not eat in the front of the deities. And then Indra Prabhu said, well, yeah, that's true, but my deities is actually relishing the devotees taking prasadam. Hare Krishna. Anyway, that's just an intermezzo. Because Srila Prabhupada explained also that tongue should be utilized. Tasi Krishna Nama Dina Bhavi Grayam Indriya. Tongues, Sevan Mukhe Jivada. Tongues should be engaged in the chanting and also eating only Krishna Prasad. And recently, one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples told me that actually, if we cook by ourselves, if we cook food for ourselves, actually, we never get sick. That's what Srila Prabhupada told me. Srila Prabhupada said, if we cook for ourselves, we will never get sick. So saying this, Srila Prabhupada just arrived, immediately asking for prasada. General people, as soon as they arrive in some place, immediately looking for a restaurant. But in devotee's case, always prasada. All right, a bit more. We have to finish this. I think my voice is done. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has commended as follows upon this verse. One who has not yet developed interest in Krishna consciousness should give up all material motives and train his mind by following the progressive regular principles, namely chanting and remembering Krishna and his name, form, quality, pastimes, and so forth. In this way, after developing a taste for such things, one should try to live in Vrindavan and pass his time constantly remembering Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, and qualities under the direction and protection of an expert devotee. This is the sum and substance of all instruction regarding cultivation of devotional service. So this statement by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is pretty similar with what Srila Prabhupada explained in the previous slide. Chanting, practice constantly, thinking about Krishna, and live in Vrindavan. Raganuga Bhakti, or spontaneous devotional service, can be executed in Santaras when one aspires to be like Krishna's cows, or the stick or flute in the hand of Krishna, or the flowers around Krishna's neck. In the Dasharas, one follows the footsteps of the servant like Chitraka, Patraka, or Raktaka. In the friendly Sankyaras, one can become a friend like Baladev, Sridham, or Sudam. In the Vatsalyaras, characterized by parental affection, one can become like Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. And in Madhuryaras, characterized by conjugal love, one can become like Srimati Radharani or her lady friends such as Lalita and her serving maids, Manjaris, like Rupa and Rati. So Rupa Goswami, Rati, sorry, Rupa Manjari and Rati Manjari. So Rati Manjari is Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Rupa Manjari is Rupa Goswami. This is the essence of all instruction in the matter of devotional service. All right, Jai. we're done with this text and verses, sorry, text and purport of this Upadesamrta, text 8. So yeah, this verse is talking about the conclusion of all advice. Rupa Goswami gives us seven advices. So now this verse saying that finally, after following all this instruction, we have to be able to constantly meditate on Krishna. And somehow or other we shouldn't forget Krishna. And this verse also the preliminary introduction to the next 3 verses, because he hinted regarding Vrindavan, wants to live in Vrindavan. So in that way we perfect our life. So of course, not everybody can get the chance to live in Vrindavan. But one time Srila Prabhupada said, my body may be here in America, but actually I'm constantly living in Vrindavan. So from that conversation with devotees, actually giving us a clue, actually most important than physically in Vrindavan is actually mentally in Vrindavan. This is most important. What is the point physically in Vrindavan, but our mind is outside Vrindavan, not engaged properly in Krishna service? So it is better outside Vrindavan and constantly thinking of Vrindavan, serving in the mood of a humble blade in Vrindavan. But of course, the best thing is that physically in Vrindavan and also mentally in Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. All right, we have only 2 minutes here. My voice is finished. Were there any last comment or questions before I close our today's class? Hare Krishna.
No,
Rasa Prabhu,
nobody. No.
yes.
Thank you
Do you have any
very much. Thank you very much.
All right, so we will see all of you again on next week, Tuesday, and we shall finish the 3 remaining verses of this book, and be prepared for the exam. Hare Krishna. Vanchakapatarubyascha
Yasya
kripa
kripa jinubhya vajja patitanam
patitanam bhavnebhyo
pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Hare.
Hare Krishna.
I really apologize for my voice.